I would like to call to order the Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 meeting in the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish the quorum, please.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.,
Present.
Alderman Heidi Wilson,
Present.
Carolyn Wands,
Present.
James Pashard,
Present.
Bob Iverson,
Present.
Alicia Ford,
Present.
Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Mike Poor,
Present.
Rick Streebing,
Here.
Sherry Pickering,
Here.
Ethan Burt,
Present.
Eve Ludwig,
Present.
Tricia Teague, Robert Williams,
Present.
Darren York, 12 present.
12 present. Please let the record reflect that unfortunately Alderman York's father passed away. So if you could please remember him in your prayers, we would certainly appreciate it. He's now over there with his family now. So at this time, we will have the invocation led by Reverend Ella Worthington, pastor of Faith Deliverance Worship Center, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Pickering. Please rise.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you, God, tonight for this occasion. God, we thank you for our city leaders. God, give them the wisdom that they need to lead this city, God, into the greatness that we know it is. God, we thank you for everything that you've done, how you have smiled on our city. God, although people say that there's nothing here, there's plenty here, God, because you are here. We believe that you abide in Danville, Illinois. God, out of that you have birthed greatness. And God, we just thank you for the things that you have done. Now, God, give them what they need, God, in order to lead us properly. And bless our city. And we'll give you the praise, the glory, and all the honor, God, because it belongs to you. And we'll forever be thankful for everything that you've done. And God, we thank you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Yes, Reverend Worthington, would you like to share with us what's been happening at your church or anything that you have coming up?
Yes, in fact, we just thank God for being here tonight. Giving honor to everybody that's here, the entire city council. We do have a few things upcoming. We have a very small ministry on Seminary Street, and our desire for years has been to build a new church, to just build a new house for God. But looking at the numbers, that's not going to work out, unless the Lord has got to provide a miracle. But our church is in need of repairs, so we are working on a fundraiser now, just try to do some repair work. I did speak with Pastor McCullough. He gave me some ideas on how we can stabilize the church so that we can still worship for some years to come. So if you all could keep us in prayer, we would really appreciate it. And also, if you'd like to make a donation to the Lord don't mind. Amen? All right, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Reverend Worthington.
All
Appreciate you.
I just want to say that that lady's a beautiful singer.
Yes, she is. One of the best.
Just give us a couple of
Oh,
notes.
my goodness.
If you all were at the MLK committee celebration, Sister Worthington was the lead in one of our songs, and it was amazing. We actually shared that online too, and but she is one of the best. She sang the national anthem at the grand opening of a new component of Walmart, and I tell you, only Whitney Houston could compare. So.
Oh, my God. That's not true, y'all.
That is true.
Give us a couple of notes.
Thank you.
I'll be satisfied.
Okay. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself, and sometimes you have to speak victory during the test. And no matter how you feel, speak the word and you will be healed. Speak over yourself. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Oh.
Amen.
Now you can see what I meant. Thank you, Sister Worthington. You have before you the minutes of the January 3rd meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you, the motion carries. You also have the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. We have an agenda for this evening. I do not have any proclamations this evening. However, I have several board, committee, or personnel appointments. For the Danville Public Library, if there be no objection, I would like to take both appointments together. The appointment of Zach Gwynn to a term expiring July of 2025, and Sharday Pascal with an appointment to end a term expiring November of 2026. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. You also have before you several reappointments to various commissions, and if there be no objection, I would motion that we take those together. They are reappointing Tara Otter to the David S. Palmer Arena with a term expiring November of 2025. Reappointing Marilyn Blanton to a term expiring of July of 2025 to the Historic Preservation Commission, and reappointing Harsha Garujal to a term at the Housing Authority to expire in July of 2025. Is there a motion to concur with the appointments?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you for concurring with those appointments. I'll have several more for you, hopefully at our next meeting. At this time, it's not technically on the agenda, but I want to let you all know that we're going to have some time of celebration over the next several city council meetings. And tonight, we're going to celebrate people who have served the city in various ways, some of them for many years. So I'm going to go up there and speak to them, and then I will allow them an opportunity to say a few words if they would like to as well. But tonight, we are going to honor our former fire chief, McMasters, as well as some of our former aldermen. During COVID, unfortunately, a lot of our meetings were held virtually, and so we were not able to honor these individuals in person, and I'm really excited for the opportunity to do that today. Chief McMasters, if you would please come forward. Chief, we are incredibly thankful for the time that you served us. 27 years. It's not often that people serve for that long in any capacity anymore. So we just want to say we appreciate you. Presented this day to the Fire Department Chief Donald E. McMasters, 1995 to 2022. Thank you for 27 years of service to the citizens of Danville. Presented by the Danville City Council.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Chief.
Oh, yeah. I'll break this break.
Would you like to say anything?
You didn't tell me I was, you didn't tell me I was saying
say
that.
anything at all, but you're welcome
Thank
to.
you very much to the city of Danville and everyone. It was a wonderful 27 years. I decided it was my time to pick up and move on. And no offense to anybody in here, but I'm not regretting it.
You can tell you're already enjoying it.
As you can see, I retired the Razor the same day I retired me. And I'm not, so far so good. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. The person that I would like to honor next surprised me by retiring a little bit early. She is someone that I count as a friend and a confidant, someone who's given me good advice. She's been tough with me when she needed to be. She's been gentle with me when other people have been tough with me. And She also made history by being the first ever black alderwoman from the city of Danville, and also being the first ever black female vice mayor. So I'm pleased at this time to present this award to you, Alderwoman Brown.
Short Street.
Got it. You don't see it? Don't worry about it.
Steve will be good to send it to us. Steve, you can send that to us so I can get it to the Alderwoman.
Okay, thank you.
It says, presented to Brenda Brown, Alderwoman from 2015 to 2022. Sincere thanks for your many years of dedicated, unselfish service to the city of Danville. Presented by the Danville City Council.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mrs. Smith, proud of you. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, to the mayor, the full council, the staff, and all administration for the city of Danville. Thank you for the years I had the opportunity and pleasure of working with you and for you. And I did retire a little early. I didn't plan on it, but my prayer every day is to ask God to order my steps and give me direction. And so I moved. And so that's why I did resign from this fine council. However, I'm still active in the city of Danville, and I continue. And don't be surprised if I run in 2025. God bless you all. And thank you to the citizens of Danville.
Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Reverend Davis was to be with us this evening, but he's not here. So let's hope that he'll be with us at the next meeting, because we have a few other aldermen who couldn't be here then as well. This next gentleman was the elder statesman on the council. I apologize, I always feel so rude. It feels like whichever way I turn to speak is rude. This gentleman served on the council for 27 years. He was one of our longest serving aldermen. Anytime that we needed any history about the city of Danville or what happened to here, he was faithful to give it to us. Not only that, but he was also someone who is a friend and a mentor, someone who gave me good advice, sometimes told me things I didn't want to hear, but needed to hear, and also told me lots of good things along the way as well. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Steve Foster forward. This is presented today to Steve Foster, Alderman from 1993 to 2020. Our sincere thanks for your many years of dedicated service and of unselfish service to the city of Danville, presented this day by the Danville City Council. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say a few words?
Well, I just want to say it's good to see old faces and younger, pretty faces. And, well, we're all here, so I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Alderman. There you are. At our next meeting, we should have Alderman Nichols and McMahon with us, as well as hopefully Reverend Davis. As far as other items of information, I just want to say thank you to all who came out and supported our fire and ice event at the Civic Center. My goodness, if you all didn't see, the lines were literally along the block outside. And it was great to see so many people participate in a community event. And we were also incredibly proud to have a full march for our MLK celebration yesterday. It was great. Our young people led the way. Actually, one of our juniors in high school was one who was the flag bearer this year, Brother Butler. You would have been proud of them. And it was great to see our young people leading us, and the scholarship recipient is incredible. We'll be having her hopefully at a meeting soon to give her speech for you as well.
Mayor.
I just want to say, Mayor, I just want to say thank you to you and the council and the staff members, as well as the citizens of Danville, for making this the celebration a success. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to say thank Sandra for her involvement in her committee with this event, and it turned out beautiful, and we enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Administrator Finch is to be commended because I'll be honest, all but 2 of the 17 years that I've been home, and I think that this was one of the best yet. It was great to have Dr. Jerry Wilson, who is a member from our community, be able to address us, to challenge us, and to inspire us. So we were thankful, especially loved the choir. Y'all were incredible. You got down. It was encouraging. So thank you all for that, and of course. Fortunately and unfortunately, our first Friday event for next month is a progressive dinner, and tickets are sold out for that. So I would invite you and encourage you to come down the first Friday in March to the Fisher Theater, where we will have our 2nd annual Danville's Got Talent. We start auditions for that Thursday evening, and I'm excited to see what the people of Danville are going to do. It'll be a great time. Madam Clerk, at this time, do we have any petitions, communications, or audience comments?
We do. Has everyone had a chance to fill out a comment card that would like to speak tonight?
Got one up here, didn't.
Yeah, yes, sir, there are some yellow cards over there. If you would just fill one of those out and then just drop it off to the clerk. Thanks, Brad.
Okay, when I call your name, if you would come to the podium, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. We have Lloyd Randall of Danville concerning Mr. Cooper and traffic stops.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing Mr. Derek Cooper, who's been the subject of several traffic stops and feels as though he's been targeted because he's African American and because of the type of vehicle that he drives. Mr. Cooper is in attendance tonight, and he asked that I offer an apology for him in advance should he not be able to speak or stay in this room for the entire presentation. That's because Mr. Cooper suffers from high levels of post-traumatic stress disorder, and that can trigger anxiety. Now, Mr. Cooper is 59 years old. He's a former Decatur, Illinois resident who came to Danville in 2010 to take advantage of services offered by the VA. He's a 16-year decorated combat Army Ranger serving in Germany, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Panama, and Somalia. He's worked at Quaker Oats since 2013. All of you should have a copy of the psychology note from his clinical psychologist. That will hopefully give you a better understanding of the effects suffered by PTSD, and you also have been provided a copy of Mr. Cooper's traffic stops. Now, this is a rhetorical question. How many times have any of you been involved in traffic stops in the last 5 years? Mr. Cooper has been the subject of traffic stops 9 times since 2018, and at least 4 to 5 times between 2016 and 2018. Mr. Cooper says, and I quote, "I feel unsafe and afraid, and I'm concerned that additional exposure to this form of treatment could lead to me being harmed in some way. Another traffic stop could push me to an emotional state that could lead to my death. I might overreact, which might cause a police officer to overreact. They see me, but they don't understand my condition." Now, Mr. Cooper came to me as a result of a conversation that he and I had regarding my attempts to get the city of Danville to collaborate in a formal traffic study similar to the study commissioned by the city of Urbana, which reviewed traffic and pedestrian stops of minorities. You can see it on the web, or I can provide a copy for you. Now, I've broached this subject of reviewing traffic stops with the city of Danville at least twice to no avail. Senate Bill 30 was signed into law in 2003 regarding law enforcement agencies who have to enter traffic stops into the Illinois Department of Transportation database. An IDOT search today regarding traffic stops involving African Americans in Danville is telling. African Americans are at least 5 times stopped more than other subgroups in this community. Mr. Cooper says, "I want answers. I've been stopped too many times. I'm not a criminal. I've served my country honorably. All I want is answers." A question to this administration would be this: do you think that race plays a part in traffic stops in our community? If so, or if not, what data do you have to support this idea? A routine traffic stop for Mr. Cooper based on his condition can be devastating. I'm asking the city for a 6-year review, to hire an independent firm to review the data, appoint an independent commission to make a determination as to whether or not race plays a factor in traffic stops in our community. Alderpersons, that review should be void of bias and subjectivity. Please ask the question, are African Americans being stopped more based on the percentage of the population in our community? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rendell.
We have-
Mr. Rendell, I would like to note, the city of Danville takes our complaints seriously, and we do everything that we can to address our citizens' concerns. However, regarding Mr. Cooper, neither me, my office, nor Administrator Finch, who oversees the Human Relations Division, have been informed about any allegations prior to today. In fact, I just got the packet at my seat please have a seat, sir.
Can I make a comment?
No, sir, you may have a
It's unfair for you
seat.
to make that argument
Sir,
because
have a
you're
seat.
positioning the
Have a
city
seat.
to suggest
Sir,
that you have no
have a seat.
allegations from the public.
Have a seat.
The information available is
Mr. Randall,
telling.
you are out of
You look at
order.
the
Have a
information.
seat.
That's all you have
Have
to
a
do.
seat.
Don't do that
Have a
because
seat.
it's unfair.
Have a seat. The city of Danville takes complaints seriously, and we were just notified of this today. We haven't had any opportunity to investigate or assist. Furthermore, as a former alderman, Mr. Randall, you know well the process for filing a police complaint. Neither you nor Mr. Cooper have contacted us about this matter. In fact, Mr. Randall, you went so far as to instruct our deputy clerk that you didn't want me, the mayor, to know that you were coming to speak to the city council about this matter. Moreover, you provided a packet of information about Mr. Cooper and the alleged incidents to the alderpersons, but did not provide me or Administrator Finch with the same information. Additionally, neither you nor Mr. Cooper spoke with Chief Yates about the matter. If your true goal was, in fact, to provide assistance and help someone that you believe was being victimized, why exclude those who have some authority to investigate the matter? I know why, and you know why, but that's okay. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate that we work hard to assist our citizens in any way possible. However, we cannot help them when individuals intentionally withhold pertinent information.
Our next is Derek Cooper of Danville, again regarding traffic stops.
Excuse, I'm a little nervous, but I just need some kind of answers. I have a 17-year-old son that won't ride with me because I got stopped twice with him in the car. And I don't have the luxury to have a father-son day or a trip because of that. Now, if I've done something wrong, I have no problem owning up to it. But my thing is, I'm not a social media guy, but I've seen too many news stories where persons as myself with PTSD are harmed in police custody because they don't understand us. And I have nothing against police because if we didn't have them, it'd be chaos. And we need them. But it's got to be something that has to give. I mean, if the stops that I've written down, I did it because my wife told me to do them. And she wanted to have a meeting with Mayor Eisenhower when that happened with my son. And my son has driver's license. He doesn't drive by himself unless his mother goes. He goes nowhere with me if I'm driving. Now, if you guys are trying to scare me or whatever, you're doing a damn good job at it because I'm afraid. And what I'm afraid of is if I get stopped and I keep my hands on the wheel and they try to take me out of the car, if I flash, I'm not responsible for that. But they got to be some de-escalation. They come to the car huffy, puffy. I had 3 stops with veterans that went great. Police officers, they were respectful, they talked to me like a person, and they understood my situation. But those were veteran cops. Somebody that hasn't been in the military doesn't understand that, especially if you haven't never been to combat. But I just want to meet with somebody where we can get this handled, find out, is it my car? Is it me? Am I on the wrong side of town? I mean, I didn't spend 20 years in the Army to come home to this. And I just need some kind of answers, man. You know, I'm kind of a little nervous, so I mean, excuse my voice and the shakiness. So.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. We will, if you provided your information on the card, we'll certainly be in contact with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very
I have
much.
a question for Mr. Cooper.
Who said that?
I did. You were stopped how many times, you said? 9, is that right?
9 times that I recorded.
That you recorded. How many of those resulted in an actual ticket?
1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
We have Vanessa Dotson from Chicago regarding zoning petitions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Vanessa Dotson, and I am here representing the 7 Point Dispensary Organization. We are here tonight in opposition to Parkway's request to modify the zoning ordinance, which currently allows for 2 dispensaries in the Lynch area, or Lynch Road area, and their request for a special use permit. In support of that opposition, I would like to draw to your attention 3 points. First, there is a limited number of customers to serve, and 2 dispensaries will be enough to handle that amount of business. Sunnyside, who is owned by the largest cannabis company in the U.S., has a massive supply of marijuana. 7 Point, my organization, who is an independent dispensary, operates, which focuses on craft growers and independent individuals and equity groups like ourselves. Between the 2, we are able to serve the needs of all of the area's customers. Second, there is already a social equity dispensary slated to open in Danville in 2023, our organization. 7 Point is a social equity applicant, which is 51% equity owned. Of that, 27% is female-owned, and 10% is disabled veteran-owned as well. One partner in one partner in our organization is on the board of Illinois Independent Craft Growers Association. Our organization supports social equity in small growers versus larger companies. Breaking ground in March or April of 2023, this upcoming spring season, we plan to finish construction before the end of the year. Third, prudent city planning means avoiding oversaturating any specific area with cannabis businesses. Only so much demand is requested in the casino area. Danville is a large community. If that area gets oversaturated with dispensaries, we will all suffer, and little, if any, additional revenue will be generated for the city as well as all of the dispensaries to compete for small businesses. If Danville wants additional dispensaries, it should amend this ordinance to allow for dispensaries in other areas of Danville aside from the casino corridor. For these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, I am asking that you deny Parkway's request to modify the zoning ordinance and deny its request for a special use permits. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
We have Vincent Coors of Danville regarding the zoning for the additional dispensary.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in Danville since 1973. I'm not a native. I don't know how long I got to be here to become one. I'm looking out for Danville and what I think is in their best interest. I was not in favor of the first opening of a marijuana shop. I'm sure there's some need in the community, some would perceive, but our state fathers in Springfield have seen fit, because they weren't happy with what happened in the first round in appointing what they had hoped to be minority facilities, and their lack of control in how they handled the first round resulted in 85% of the awards to organizations to open going to non-minority organizations. So they've had a second and a third and a fourth round of awards. We have awarded a second organization the opportunity to open. That hasn't happened yet. It may happen. We'll see. But the fact is, we don't have to award any of these opportunities. There's no obligation for this board to allow any future marijuana organizations in town. The only reason, perhaps, to allow them is the greed that we see with dollars coming from them. But meanwhile, they're occupying space that could be put to other, better, more profitable use for the city of Danville out on Lynch Road. So I'm here to object to both the zoning ordinance and the movement to allow the installation or the awarding of this third. And I would suggest that when the fourth one finally comes, whenever that happens, you don't even consider it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Corse.
Brad Bergman of Danville regarding driveway and trailer.
Good evening, council, mayor. I just, last week I received a notice, and I thank Jim and Ethan, thank you for your info, Ward 6. But I received this notice that my enclosed trailer cannot be parked in my driveway. Okay, I realize the rules, but something's got to get, I think it needs to be revisited. You know, I've been informed that it's a city ordinance. I'm here to ask you to revisit it. So I was told that it had to be on the side of my house, which is a side road. It cannot be on the side of my house. It cannot be in the backyard because my fence is enclosed. So I don't understand why it's unlawful to park my property on my property when it's close to my garage. My trailer is a small enclosed trailer that I use for work. Okay? It's not an eyesore. It does not obstruct traffic or sidewalks. I've toured the city and found numerous trailers, campers, RVs, junk cars parked in driveways, front yards, covering sidewalks and in the street. I feel the citizens of Danville deserve to park their property in their own private driveway as long as it doesn't obstruct traffic, is licensed, operable, and well kept. This is especially for business owners who own, it's a vehicle for their livelihood, to support their families in Danville. You know, I know for a fact that tedious rules and regulations like this, it's frustrating, something that drives hardworking families out of Danville. You don't want that. You want to help Danville. I mean, I've served this city as a mailman for 35 years. Retired here, I was like, this is a great town. It is. It's a great town. Let's act upon it. Let's help the citizens, you know, especially for their businesses. You know, I feel it may be in best interest to look for you know, I know I speak for business owners too. They're not here, such as lawn care, construction, entertainment, etc. We should be allowed to park our property on our property. I ask again to please revisit this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing none, there is,
Mayor,
yes.
I see Reverend Davis has just
Yes, I
appeared.
was just going to acknowledge him. If it be the pleasure of the council, I would entertain a motion to temporarily suspend the agenda so that we can appropriately recognize Reverend Davis.
Make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. So I've known this gentleman since I was a little boy. He was someone who refereed. He was someone that worked at the parks. Anywhere that there were lots of fun things happening, you would see Mr. Davis there. He worked hard on the city council. He was actually one of the 7 plaintiffs who helped change our form of government. If it were not for Reverend Davis and those 6 other brave men that you see on the wall over there, there would be no Mayor Williams, because prior to 1987, there were never any African Americans or any other minorities nor any women representatives in the city of Danville. So Reverend Davis was one of the few representatives who then later on became an alderman, and I think he was actually the only plaintiff, I believe. No, that's not true. Radio was a plaintiff or was an alderman as well. But he was the last alderman from that group to be elected. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised because I know Reverend Davis loved being able to be here with us making decisions when he retired, but I am glad that he came today. So, Reverend Davis, if you would please come forward, or if it'd be more convenient, I'd be happy to bring your award to you.
Let's give Reverend Davis a hand, please.
At this time, hello, how are you,
Sir.
It's great to see you, Rev.
Just speak loud too, you're on this left.
Today, presented to Reverend R.J. Davis, Alderman, Ward 3, 2013 to 2021. Sincere thanks for your many years of dedicated and unselfish service to the city of Danville. Presented you by the City Council of Danville, Illinois. Thank you, Rev, for all your service. For you. If you will help him, Brother Butler, and I'll bring this back to Sister Davis for you, okay?
Look who's here. I haven't seen you in 1,000 years. Hey, baby. I've seen you maybe Friday night, huh? Congratulations.
Thank you. At this time, we will return to the regular agenda. You have before you item 8A, zoning petitions, an ordinance amending Danville City Code, Chapter 150 zoning code for adult use cannabis, zoning petition number 290. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Alderwoman Teague. The floor is open for discussion or debate at this time. I would first turn it over to Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to be just like it was with all the video gaming and everything else. We saturated the market to where it drove everybody. I mean, everybody thought that was going to be their lifeblood to stay open and end up, eventually making many, many close. As Ms. Vanessa said, I mean, it's going to saturate the market. I mean, I'm surprised they're going to have one, but even with the smoking lounge, I just can't see this community supporting 3. I don't know how we can do it. Or the 4th when it comes, yeah. I mean, I think we're just going to oversaturate that whole area. I know there's a chance we could lose some sales tax revenue by not having the other 2 or the one right now, but, I'm working retail now. My gosh, may have to start wearing a gas mask or an oxygen mask when the people come in. But that's neither here nor there. But I just think we're going to oversaturate the market, that we're not going to really see any additional revenue coming in. It's just going to dilute what the folks are already in place. So I'll be voting no.
Alderwoman Teague.
So one of the questions that I have, because obviously when recreational cannabis became legal, I was not on the council. So one of the questions that I have concerning the zoning as it relates to cannabis business establishments is, was the purpose of this ordinance to put cannabis business establishments on the outskirts of the city?
So what I can say is that some of us on the administration and the council, as well as members of the community, had concerns about it being located near residential areas. And unfortunately, even many of our other business corridors are very proximate to residential areas. And so that's one of the reasons why this area was selected, because it was not proximate to residential areas.
So then the other question that I have is, given the state's decision to issue 3 additional licenses to our city, not just 1 or 2, because there is a third that's been issued. I don't know if they've approached us yet, which is one of my questions that I always have for Logan every time I see him and this comes up, is what is then the city's plan? Because there is a whole city planning component to this. What is the city's plan in terms of accommodating those, or taking the stand and say, we will only accommodate this many?
The city has not taken a stand one way or another, except that we wanted to try to be compliant with the law. And this, as you know, the state law allowed operation of more than one of these types of awards within a certain area. That was changed. The legislation has been changed multiple times. So we wanted to change our legislation to reflect that of the state. As far as expanding outside of this opportunity, outside of this area, there were 1 or 2 possible other areas that we could remotely consider. Those have been offered to various entities, including the 7 Point Group, as well as the group we have before us today. And for various reasons, primarily price and or location, they were not interested because they wanted to be near the highway and proximate to the highway.
And then I guess the other question that I have, this organization, do they already own this land, or do they have an option on this land? Do you know?
Yeah, I can leave that up to the petitioner to answer that if he can.
Okay.
If you, please come forward, sir. And if you could let everyone know who you are and your interest in the matter.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. My name is Ambrose Jackson, CEO of Parkway Dispensary. I'm happy to be here. Number one, just because, I represent a diverse company, and I really want to be here because this is a very diverse community and has a history that really celebrates that and the benefits of it. We have a executed LOI for the purchase of a parcel of land. The contract is under review, and I'm expecting for it to be completed and ready to sign tomorrow, assuming we are able to move forward with our special use permit. The one other note that I would add is, as it relates to having more than 1 or 2 dispensaries in a location, I think that the argument that more dispensaries is a detriment to the consumers and the community is baseless. I think time and time again in many industries we've seen that more competition results in better quality and lower prices, and it benefits customers. And so that is our goal, is to be able to provide another option for a minority-owned company in an industry that has been dominated by a lack of diversity, and that's what currently exists, whether it's 7 Points or whether it's Sunnyside. We're happy to be here.
Thank you. Yes, Alderwoman Teague.
So I think everybody knows that I'm a business person. So I did make the comment, and it's referenced in Mr. Zerman's letter. I was curious to know whether or not Danville can support multiple dispensaries. My question is not about, there is a legal obligation that we have. My question is not so much as whether or not this should be placed in that location versus any other location, because people who want the product will go to where the product is, to be quite honest. I can see all sides of this. From the perspective of competition, I do agree that competition is a good thing. I mean, we support Meijer and we support Walmart, and they're right down the street from each other. And sometimes if you don't find what you want at one, you go down the street to the other one. So I personally think that the issue that we have with the number of dispensaries that might come to our area is an issue with the state, not with the people who applied for a license. Because those people who applied for those licenses did not necessarily apply for the areas in which they got licenses. They got those licenses as a result of several other lawsuits, and the state made the decisions that the state made. And now we as a community, and just like every other community around the state where there are license recipients, now have to figure out how we handle this. So that was the reason why I asked, like, what is our plan? Because the state issued 4 licenses without talking to us or any other municipality. Now, having been in conversations with the agency that issues these licenses, I said to them last year, you put yourselves and these cities in a precarious position. Because you issue licenses to locations that were supposed to have only had 1 additional license, and now they have 3. And whether or not, and it's going to be up to each individual city to decide whether or not we can accommodate all of these and whether or not we should. And I will also say that this is a very litigious area of business, which is how we ended up with 3 additional licenses. So whatever decision we make here tonight may or may not have legal repercussions for us moving forward. I don't know these people. I've never met any of them. I can't say if they've been to any of my webinars or sessions in terms of licensing or not, because we have several hundred people in our database and we don't interact with them directly most of the time. So I don't know anything about them, but I do know that I can foresee what might happen. And I told that to the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation a year ago when they did this. Not just with our city, with any city. But our question is not whether or not we should or shouldn't have additional licenses, because that was a decision IDFPR made. Their question as business owners, as people who paid thousands of dollars to apply and then went through the process and waited over a year for all of the litigation to bear out, is whether or not we will allow them or not. And then the other question is whether or not we will allow them in the same location as all the other dispensaries, because we as a council have made, or we as a city have made a decision that this is where we think dispensaries should go. So to me, there's like a lot of different moving pieces to this, but at the end of the day, it's really about our plans as a city and what we plan to do to accommodate the businesses that want to come here and that are legally able to come here.
Alderwoman Teague, I know that you have a little bit of expertise in this area, so I'm hoping that you might know the answer to this question. Is it true that, I believe that it's true that if an entity is not able to get a license in a particular city, that they can petition to go into another zone or another city?
I've not heard
That's not correct.
that. I've not heard that. I wish this question had came last week, because I was on a call with IDFPR last week. So I do not know that to be true. I have an attorney that works for me, so who keeps track of those details, but so I don't know for certain. And I think the question becomes more of, if they can't, what happens next, right? Because there's only so many licenses issued throughout the state, and each of those licenses are issued to an MSA.
Right.
So if they try to go somewhere else, that means someone else would have to give up a license to try to come here. At the end of the day, the number of licenses is the number of licenses.
Thank you. Chairman Streaming.
Yeah, I think I don't know, 9 months ago or something, I asked Logan about looking at properties, south and north. They've done that to a certain extent. The problem is when these people go look at it, they don't want it, or the price is double what it should be. So they made the decision that they want to go out there with a competition. And I thought when we talked about this, we got when the first license come in, we as a city council thought we were going to get the the one to help people out
Yes,
who
sir.
need medical.
Mhm.
Well, we didn't get that. Something happened in correspondence or whatever along the way. I really don't think that you need three of them out there either. I'd like to see, when we talked about this before, I'd like to see one Southtown and one up north around Walmart, someplace like that. And I was understanding that when we first got the first one in here, that if we didn't want them, I think they had the next biggest town is the only reason why we were offered it, because of our population. I believe that's how they first initially done the licenses. Now, I understand these people here are a little bit different because they got overlooked and they made some changes and it took them a long time to do that. I didn't follow it that close. I figured that the zoning would come through and we'd have enough that we could spread them out. So if they're not here, they'll probably just go somewhere else.
And at the end of the day, I think the other thing that should be noted is it's still the Danville MSA. And to the point that Mayor Williams made with the last zoning request for the last one, if not here, then right down the road, in which case then here still has to deal with all of the assumed issues that may or may not come with people using cannabis and no tax revenue to pay for it.
We've talked about competing revenues, and one concern that I have is if the Danville MSA includes a wide area, including Tilton and other places, so Mayor Phillips does a good job of offering parcels to folks down there, and so let's say that we don't choose to have this, then now our competitors are going to have a competitor in a different municipality where that municipality then gets all the receipts for it. This is one of those issues that's really hard for me, quite honestly, very hard for me. Alderwoman Wands.
I would just like to ask, when is enough enough?
Alderman, Alderwomen, any other questions? Yes, Vice Mayor.
I think it's gotten a little confusing here. We're only, at this point, acting on A, right?
Correct.
We're only talking about changing the city code to make it go along with what the state code is, really.
That's correct.
We're not really talking about the Parkway people until Part B.
That's yes.
Since
you're
Mr.
correct.
Jackson's already answered a question, can I ask him a question now?
Of
Or should I
course.
wait for Part B?
If it probably has bearing on both, Mr. Jackson, if you wouldn't mind.
Because I think if we don't approve A,
if we don't
it won't
approve
be a
A,
B.
right, that's correct.
So, okay. Mr. Jackson, Alderman Strubing mentioned this. With our first one, the city council was convinced that they were going to be a marijuana and medical and recreational facility. Turns out they were not. Are you going to be a medical facility too, where people can get their prescriptions from a doctor and they can go in and get insurance coverage and things like that? I know at least one in Urbana does that. Or are you going to strictly be recreational?
Yeah, so I have to abide by the regulations of the state in my license. I'm not allowed to offer a tax discount to medical patients. However, they still can come to my dispensary. I will also say that, just to put things in context, Illinois is one of the most limited licensed state across the country. So if you look at other states such as California or Michigan, Illinois has a 500 dispensary limit across the state. They are as you mentioned, designated via BLS regions, which is based off of population. And to that point, when Illinois gets to that point where it's at 500, there will be 2.4 dispensaries per that 100,000 residents, and that's compared to other markets where there's 10 dispensaries, like in Colorado, per 100,000 residents. And so Illinois has taken steps to make sure that it doesn't saturate its market, which is good for the operators as well as the cities.
Okay, from what you said, people who need it medicinally can come out there,
Yes.
but they will pay the same price as anyone else. Having a prescription doesn't get you covered by insurance.
Right. There is a benefit that was provided to the first round of dispensaries back in 2008. They were the only ones that are medicinal. They have a patient population that we're unable to service. I would prefer to be able to, and I'm very active legislatively to try and make those changes so that we can increase access.
Okay, that's disappointing. But-
Vice Mayor, do you have any further questions or comments?
I don't think so.
Vice Chairman, okay.
Okay, so just reading through some of that paperwork, it almost sounds like the state could come back and mandate our zoning. Is this a possibility at all?
That's not my understanding, but the state could.
Well, it says that we can't limit to this because the state has legislated it.
The state can't mandate our zoning. They have no authority to mandate our zoning. But I think what you're referring to, Alderman, is Section 5525 of the Cannabis Act. Home rule municipalities, which of course we are, can regulate to a degree time, place, manner. But it has to be reasonable and rational. And that's the legal problem that you all have to decide, because Section 2 basically says, and I'll read it, it's in the memo, a unit of local government, including a home rule municipality, i.e. Danville, may enact ordinances or rules not in conflict with this act or with rules adopted pursuant to this act governing the number of cannabis business establishment operations, then it goes on to say, including minimum distance limitations between cannabis business establishments and locations deemed sensitive. And that's a key statement in this provision. It goes on to say, including colleges, universities, through the use of conditional use permits, which is basically a special use permit. Then it goes on to say, no unit of local government, including a home rule unit, like Danville, may unreasonably restrict time, place, manner, and number of cannabis business establishment operations authorized by this act. And I believe his name, the gentleman who spoke, Mr. Jackson, says the state, correctly so, has placed a limit on the number of licenses. Now it has grown. Those who followed this industry, and I did it when I was in Urbana, because they had one, because they started out with a medicinal cannabis, and the very first early adult uses went to the medicinal dispensaries. Why? Because they were set up, they were tied into the state, and they demonstrated operational quality and success. But they were medicinal. They got the first licenses. And then, of course, it's expanded over several iterations. The statute also places a strong preference or emphasis on these justice social cannabis dispensaries, which I believe this particular applicant happens to be, and we have one already and all. So there's a preference, and that's probably why the legislature issued 4 of these licenses to the Danville area. If you read this, as I read it, and I don't favor or disfavor the applicant or the approval of this text amendment other than to follow the law. This is a policy decision for you all to make. But as I read this provision, the limitation is directed by language to what they call sensitive areas. Do you want a cannabis dispensary in the middle of a university or DAC? I don't think so. Or right next to a junior high school or a high school? I don't think so. But that's just me. You all have that decision to make. In terms of economic, there are two philosophies on the economic issue. One is too much too many? Now, if you go to places that have multiple car dealerships, you will find that 3, 4, 5 dealerships are located fairly close together, or that one dealership has 4 or 5 manufacturers, Hyundais, Hondas, what have you. Carmack has multiple manufacturers offered on their premises. The car industry apparently has concluded that more car places that locate close together generate synergy within that market. I don't think anyone can say at this point whether multiple cannabis shops will kill too much competition or invigorate it as a, quote, cannabis campus or whatever you want to call it, because the industry's too new in terms other than medicinal, is too new. I have no viewpoint on that. I'm an attorney. I'm not a marketing expert and all. So we don't really know what's going to happen. It's my understanding these places offer different products. I don't know if they're buying from the same growers. There are craft growers, and then there are the large growers. I don't know if any of our establishments are also planning on expanding into the grow business, indoor grow business. I think almost all of these growers are indoors, not outdoors, because you can obtain about 6 crops a year from an indoor grower, where an outdoor grower, you're subject to the weather and the seasons, and you might get 2 crops. So it's all indoors. I do know that Urbanus, because I was there and involved in this and drafted the ordinances relating to this, they happened to only have one, which was a startup as a medicinal dispensary. To my knowledge, and having been there a couple of years after that cannabis establishment operated, they've experienced no increase in crime or police problems that they have traced to that dispensary. Yes, there's still black market out there, because when you add the taxes, which, as I recall, is about 25 to 30% of the total price, it's an expensive product. It's an expensive product. The menu, as they called it at the one, New Med, I think they call it now. It's called something else before, and I met with the gentleman about that several times as that was going through. I think the cheapest product they had was an edible. Now, prices may have come down, I don't know, and it was $75, which included the taxes. And also, the product is expensive. So I think some of this language, as I read it, nothing to do with these guys. That's up to you whether you want to approve the special use. Suggests that the limits are based on sensitive areas and not, in fact, the statute expressly says that this 1,500-foot limit between these dispensaries, when it comes to social justice equity, their social equity justice dispensaries, doesn't apply. They can literally be next door to an adult use, an early adult use dispensary, or some other social equity justice dispensary. They use the term social equity in the statute and social equity justice, but I believe the term social equity is the only one that's defined. So I am attributing that social equity justice is the same as social equity, but the people who are here who operate those kind of licenses can answer that question much better than me.
Vice Chairman.
Okay. Well, my thought is there's one more, 2 more are going to blossom. I'd just as soon have it out there where we can kind of keep an eye on it, have a little bit of control on it. We just approved, or it's coming, we're going to have a car wash up north, and 2 blocks away, or a block and a half away, we're having another car wash. And as long as I can remember, we've always said that the money dictates. If somebody wants to spend some money someplace, It's their money. If they're going to make it or lose it, it's their money. We can't dictate to them how they're going to spend their money. So, I don't want another marijuana shop here, but I don't see any sense of letting it come back and come back and come back if we can control it out there.
Yes, Council.
One comment on just regulation, state regulation, and these folks, I think, can verify it. This industry, like the Illinois Gaming Board, is heavily regulated by the state. If I'm not correct, all their inventory POS systems, all their sales systems, all their delivery systems, all the grow systems, everything is tied in to the state live. I don't know whether the state monitors every one of these establishments constantly. I don't know what staffing they have. Again, these folks may know that. But every sale is recorded in the state. Every gram, whatever the quantity they measure this stuff in, is recorded as it goes out the door of the grower. The trucking companies or the delivery companies have to be licensed. The dispensaries have to log it in. It is all computer controlled. Virtually the state monitors every aspect of their business. The security is very tightly controlled. I don't think, unless they've changed the statute, I haven't looked at this part, they cannot even have a case that actually has live product in the case. They have to go back into a coded storeroom to pull the actual product that somebody wishes to purchase. This is not cannabis that just grows wild and whatever. The strength is regulated, especially in the edibles and the oils and all of that stuff. And the quantity of THC is tried very hard to be regulated in the plant if they're selling whatever flowers or whatever they sell and all of that stuff. It's a very heavy regulated industry. And the articles that I read, and I'm talking about when I did this for Urbana, many people are predicting that within 10 years, this industry is going to operate more efficiently because of the regulation. But it's just going to be like liquor. It's going to be a competition with liquor, but it's going to operate. It's going to be, I think, more prolific. Well, but it's going to operate like liquor. And we'll probably have ultimately maybe some of the same problems with DUI that we have with liquor and all. But, those are people who are looking at their crystal ball on where it's going. I didn't bring mine today.
Chairman Streebing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I was for the first one we had here in town. The second, I wanted to elaborate. I was going to talk about the second car wash coming. And third, zoning didn't have a problem with it. So I will probably vote for it.
Vice Chairman Pickering.
Yes, I'd like to ask Logan his intake on this.
On the
8A, on 8A. Okay.
You want my personal opinion? Is that what you're asking? I will stay away from giving my personal opinion.
Not personal. I don't mean personal. But is there a reason we should vote for this even though we would not want the third one to come in?
I think there's a couple of positives. I think you've covered the potential negatives. One of them being is either the petitioner or the seller of the property will be responsible for the construction of a planned roadway to go through the seller's property and eventually, hopefully, intersect into the intersection proposed by the casino. Do I think from a planning standpoint that this will take up valuable retail space or service space in that corridor? Maybe, but not very much on the planned roadway. I think there's going to be plenty of space to the east and the west of it. And I don't know if, Sam, have you shared that with the council yet, that planned roadway? Okay. Well, I think this will be a big expense if it's paid for by a developer or the seller, up to them. That could be paid for in the start of economic development in that corridor. And that's up to you guys to determine whether this use should go there and take up that valuable space. But that's a pretty large planning positive, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or debate? Yes, Alderwoman Teague.
I wanted to add to what council said, and then I want to ask Logan a question. One of the things that council didn't say, but not only is this a highly regulated industry, every instance of a problem is also highly fined. Like, as a business person, this is the last industry I would want to start a business in. So I applaud anybody who's brave enough to do it. My question for Logan is, in terms of, I'm assuming that in Planning and Zoning Commission that there was lots of discussion about this as well.
Correct.
I am curious to know if there, how they eventually came to the conclusion to vote for it and present it to us.
Yeah. Some of the discussion was similar at the planning and zoning, but I believe the positives of the developmental growth in that corridor, since it has been vacant for so long, mind you, the change of uses have changed drastically in the past 5 years out there, so who knows if there's going to be a developmental boom. I don't think, pun intended, they were willing to roll the dice on either 7 Point, for instance, is going to develop or not. Are we even going to get 2 or 3 cannabis dispensaries developed? I hope so. I hope 7 Point is successful, but they weren't sure. So that was one of the major reasons of voting yes and recommending it to the city council, and just starting the positive growth for commercial development in that corridor definitely outweighed most of the negatives that were discussed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Logan, have we received site plans from 7 Point yet?
We have been working with consultants. Conceptual site plans have been received at this time.
Okay.
No permits or actual stamp drawings have been submitted yet.
Okay. Any further discussion or debate? Mind you, you will only be voting on 8A, the ordinance amending the zoning code. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
No.
Bouchard,
No.
Iverson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
No.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
No.
Ludwig,
No.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
York, seven yes, 6 no.
Mayor has to tie it.
With a vote of 7 to 6, I will cast the 8th vote in the affirmative.
Is that a first?
That is the first time that I've had to break a tie, yes. The motion, with a vote of 8, the motion carries. However, you have before you item 8B, an ordinance amending the zoning petition for Parkway Dispensary LLC for a special use permit number 255 for a property with a PIN number 24073000042. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the specific proposal? Chairman Poor.
Now that I've heard that 7 Point hasn't really turned anything in plan-wise or anything else, I mean,
Officially, no, but in the past couple of weeks, we have been working with consultants and designers to get those plans submitted.
so they're pretty far behind Parkway? From a
Not necessarily.
necessarily, okay.
No.
Because we're provided with Parkway's conceptuals and everything else. I was under the assumption that when we talked about 7 Point last year, that was already far more than just conceptual.
Yeah, just so they've moved beyond that concept that you saw originally. We don't have official site plan submittals, but we've had several iterations of, is this going to work? Is that going to work? Without a submittal requiring our official review and comment on it, I guess, at this point. So that's definitely increased and appears to be imminent, I guess I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Any, Vice Mayor?
Now, just because I thought we should amend, go along with the state, doesn't necessarily mean that I support this zoning request. And I've had a lot of discussions with myself mainly about it, because the public doesn't seem to be all that concerned, which I'm kind of surprised, frankly. But in talking to Logan and the mayor earlier this week, we talked about the road, and one of the concerns is we're giving away retail space. Well, we're not, because they're going to build a road which will actually give us more space for retail. And whether or not we need so many so close, I'm like Alderwoman Teague. I think if I was going to open a business, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But we don't worry about, you can go to any corner in town and there's 3 gas stations on the 4 corners, and they all seem to do well. So from a business standpoint, that's not up to me to decide whether their business should be there or not. If they want to go for it, I wish them all the best. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not enthusiastic about it, but I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go along with it. It's not, I don't think it's our place to say no, frankly.
Alderwoman Teague.
I think to Vice Mayor Iverson's point, the market dictates whether or not there's customers. Based on the one dispensary that's out there now, every time I've driven to Indiana, as early in the morning as I've driven and as cold as has been, there has been a line around the building. So there is obviously demand. And I would imagine that a lot of the demand are people coming across the state line for it. So I can understand why they want to be located where they want to be located. That is probably the best opportunity they see it as the best opportunity for them to increase their profits. Who are we to say, no, you can't go there, you need to go here, because we don't do that with any other business. We haven't even done that with the gaming stuff, to be quite honest. And those are all in town. So to me, it makes more sense there than any place else. It's in keeping with what we've already done and a precedent that we've already set.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wands,
No.
Pashard,
No.
Iverson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
No.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
No.
Burt,
No.
Ludwig,
No.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
York, Wilson,
Yes.
Six yes, 7 no.
By a vote of 6 to 7, the motion fails.
It'll
Chairman?
be a tie, wouldn't it?
No,
No.
because the 7th wouldn't give you a majority vote.
Okay.
At this time, you have the payrolls. You have the payrolls of, before you, item 9 is the approval of payrolls for January 6th and 13th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pashard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York, Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. You also have before you item 10, approval of vouchers payable for January 10th and 17th of 2023. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Iverson,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Strebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive our Public Works Committee report. Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. 11A is a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 5-year subscription of body-worn cameras and supporting equipment. Move to dispense reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Ford.
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
11B is an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate for community improvements for the property address 934 North Gilbert Street. Move to dispense reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
11C is a resolution amending the fiscal year 2022-23 streets budget 031. Move to dispense reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
11D is a resolution approving a professional services agreement for stormwater management projects. Move to dispense reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call, please.
Alderman Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
11E is a resolution approving a professional services agreement for completion of a Vermilion County Safety Action Plan for the Danville Area Transportation Study, DATS. Move to dispense reading and ask for your approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York. Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Pashard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
11F items of information. Keep the snow away, right?
Yeah, I guess my only comment, you all got a map of the update of the Kirchner thing. Just keep that private to the best of your ability. I don't want general public like knowing the status of people's properties, things like that. Just for safety reasons. So
Sure.
anyway.
Okay. Thank you. Mayor, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Chairman. I apologize. It seems like Administrator Cronk did have one item.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the general public know and small business owners, the Community Development Division still has money available for COVID relief for small businesses. All the information you need is on the Community Development website at cityofdanville.org. It'll show you if you're qualified. But the summary and the basics of it are if you were impacted by COVID-19, if you lost income because of it, and if you received some type of incentive from the state or what have you, you have to show that you had already spent that so you can offset your it's basically a reimbursement program from prior expenses during the actual COVID time period. All the information you need is on our website. You can just go to the search bar and oh, the cap is at $10,000. You have to show receipts of $10,000.
And if a business previously received funds from the city for COVID, are they able to apply again?
Yes, same way with other incentives. Just show that you spent those dollars and how much more you lost because of COVID.
Thank you, Logan.
That's it, Mayor.
Thanks, Chairman. Appreciate you. At this time, we will receive our Public Services Committee report. Chairman Streaming.
Yes, puts us 12A, the city clerk's report, and 12A1 is approval of the licenses. I'll need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or
questions?
debate?
Any questions? If not, roll call, please.
Oh, we can do that by voice.
Oh,
Chairman.
voice chair, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Which is to item 12B, items of information. We will meet here next Tuesday, January 24th, 6 p.m. right here in City Hall.
Thank you. And we also have a rare fifth Tuesday this month where you do not need to, where we will not be in attendance. So on the 30th, don't show up on the 31st. None of us will be here. Thanks, Chairman. Any items of information for the good of the cause? Seeing none, you'll be glad to know we don't have a reason to go in closed session this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Ricky. So moved.
I'm sorry, Chairman. It's okay. Vice Chairman.
I would just like to make a comment about Mr. Cooper. I would really like to see our police chief and Mr. Cooper maybe have some kind of meeting, because I really think there needs to be something looked into in that circumstance. So I would love to do that. I would love to recommend that.
Thank you. As we mentioned earlier, that is something that will take place now that we have his contact information. Again, the big thing that I would remind folks is if you are unaware, if you're
Exactly.
uninformed, you can't do anything about
Exactly.
something. So
Exactly.
I had never been contacted by Mr. Cooper. Administrator Finch had never been contacted by him, nor Lloyd Randall.
Right.
And the packet that you all received, we did not receive. It was laid on my desk here this evening. So if you're unaware, you can't address a problem if you're unaware that it exists.
That's correct.
And also, you have to be able to investigate and verify that a problem does exist.
Exactly.
Because there have been many times where we've had folks make accusations against officers, and we watch the body-worn camera footage, and it's not what they proclaim it to be. I hope for Mr. Cooper's sake that we'll be able to find some resolution and that he'll be able to find some peace.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Having satisfied the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
And I know that, but you know what? We do need to, as far as, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
You got me on a roll.
I am. I'm having a really hard time. I want it so bad in Danville.
It's a majority of the votes.
I thought you had to have 8 votes. I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, that's. Yeah. Then there says you're gonna have 8 votes.
There are some things that it is a majority of those.
Some of the majority elected. Some of the majority of the.
I thought an ordinance took 8 votes.
Yeah. Majority will have that.
That's an ordinance.
Not a vote, an ordinance.
Well, you know, here's the other part, just like you know, is they may have to,
Right.
they may have to move somewhere else because if they want to stay in Danville.
Here's the thing, I don't think anybody else is gonna know.
The zoning hadn't passed, he couldn't have brought that back for a year. So he come back and
He asked for special use
Not when we get older.
The zoning passed.
Well, you're, but you're